read in an article where you said that humans are not omnivores. Can you please expound on that?
All right. So what happened is that, I mean, I really think the only way there's two ways I think you can really decide and, really identify what you're able to eat. And it's through intuition, which is first, and it's through scientific data, through physiology or anatomy. And when we look at the physiology and the anatomy of it, which is the science of it, it generally just match up back with your intuition. So you're just using it to validate your intuition. And so the only way, how you decide on which group you fall into is when you semototype. And semototyping is grouping animals based upon their features, their body type, their anatomy. And so we're not omnivorous and we're not carnivorous, because it's just every other animal who fit within that category. There are certain unique identifiers that you see with them. And we have not find ourselves with these unique identifiers from an anatomy and a physiology point of view. So, and one of the most prominent one is the fact that our liver does not produce uricase. And uricase is a liver enzyme that is used to convert uric acid into something more water soluble so that your kidneys can find it easier to filter that out. So every dog, every lion, every tiger, whether they're carnivorous or omnivorous, they live, because most omnivores still retain more than 75% of their carnivorous trait. And all of them, whether omnivorous or carnivorous out there, their liver produce uricase. And one of the conditions that you end up with if you're on a diet that requires uricase to convert your uric acid into allantoin, which is the water soluble byproduct when it is converted, it is gout, and gout is basically, a lot of persons come down with gout, and the gout is when your body has been filled with uric acid and your kidneys becomes very, can't deal with filtering that anymore, and it leaves it and it runs down and it settles in the toes. Normally it's in your big toe first. But you'll never find a lion or a tiger or a dog with gout. And you see, not only is that us as humans do not produce uricase, the truth about it is too, there's no cow, there's no camel, there's no horse. So you find that none of the vegetarian or frugivarians, the frugivores, produce uricase. So that's just that's just science. That's just how natural it is. So when I say we're not omnivorous, I'm not talking from the point of view of what we do, because people tend to categorize who we are based upon what we are doing. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about if your physiology, if your anatomy is suggesting that. Now, let's look at, say, for example, the jaw, where the jaw joint of a carnivore or omnivore is positioned in comparison to that of a frugivore or a herbivore. And what you find is that the jaw joint of a carnivore or omnivore is hinged, the two jaw is hinged at the molar teeth, right at the molar teeth. So what that does is that it gives them a shear-like, scissors-like position. So the jaws of carnivores really has, if you think about a scissors and where the two blades are joined, that's exactly how the jaw joint of carnivores and omnivores are attached. So what it is that it prevents them from having sideways movements. You can't move a scissors blade side to side. So it's really a slicing, a cutting action. And so carnivores, they do not masticate. Omnivores, they basically cut, chop, and swallow. And what happened is that all frugivore, all herbivore, and man, I'm saying, they have the ability to move their mouth from side to side. And the reason why we have that ability is because our jaw joint is hinged above the molar teeth. So what it does is that it gives the jaw an ability to swing. And so if you know, we can throw water in our mouth and switch that around. So we can switch around water. And if you look at cow, when he's chewing his cud, it's going all over the place. Well, a carnivore can't do that. The carnivore can't do that. Now, it's funny now, when we're going to look at that feature, what we are also going to see come into place is that carbohydrates, right, which is from your fruits and your vegetables, the breakdown of that starts from within the mouth. So you have your saliva, which breaks down your carbs, which is like amylase and so forth. And what that means is that we have those kind of carbohydrate splitting enzymes within our saliva. So mastication is the first place where the breaking down or form of digestion is taking place for us. Now, when you look at meat, or what we call, animal protein, the digestion of that takes place within the gut when there's peptin in the stomach. So there's no need for them to masticate. So now you find that they do not have the ability to chew, masticate, go up and down. They just chop and swallow. But there's no need, because protein is not taking any digestion within that mouth. While on the other hand, your carbohydrate should start its breaking down from within the saliva. And that means it's perfect why we needs to masticate. So that's three different features. We mentioned uric acid, we mentioned the position of the jaw joint, and now we realize why the jaw joint is positioned and allowing one to do the other and one not to do it. You realize that the person who is supposed to be chewing, they actually break down fruits and vegetables by masticating. So it's by design. Another thing is that you can look at the facial muscle. All carnivores and omnivores, they have less developed facial muscle in comparison to you and I. So our facial muscle is very well developed. And what that does is that for a carnivore, because his facial muscle is not so well developed, he has a very wide mouth opening comparative to his head size. So if you think about a dog, or when they open their mouth very wide, it can go all the way back. It's like, a clamp going back. You just try that for me. You try to open your mouth as if you're gonna do it, and when you open it, hold it for 5 seconds. And by the time you start to stretch it, right at the corner of your jaw, it starts to pain you. Anybody that tries to push their mouth opening beyond. So that's not the mouth opening size of a true hunter, a true carnivore, right? So we have a more developed facial muscle, and which prevent us from giving us that wide mouth opening. And so that's one thing. Another thing is we could also look at the length of the digestive tract. Now, carnivores' digestive tract are generally 1 to 3 times their body length. Some omnivores go up to 5. But what happens is that when we are talking about body length, we're talking from the mouth to the tail of the animal or the torso. So with us, our digestive tract length is generally like 10 to 12. That's how different. And one of the reasons for the short digestive tract length by carnivores and omnivores is for the rapid transitioning of meat. Us, a cow, a herbivore, is even longer than us. And this is where you can also realize that man is more fruit eating than vegetarian. So a man is more
Oh,
naturally a fruit eating being, right? Because
so my
when
intuition
you,
was right. My intuition was right because I'm just loving fruits.
yeah, but I mean, if everybody asks themselves the hunger question and ask themselves if they find themselves here on earth with a very blank and unconditioned mind, nobody had ever said anything to you about food. And you close your eyes and hunger came upon you, and that's natural, that's going to happen. And when you open your eyes to respond to this hunger question, you see cows in a pasture, you see goats running around, you see grass, greenery, whether you call it kale, spinach, callaloo, and you see these beautiful things hanging from tree with different colors, apples, mangoes, sneezeberries. Which is the thing that you think you would naturally have an affinity towards? Would you think you look in the cow and go, wow, in the pasture with the cows and go, wow, dinner? I mean, you won't salivate. And you won't even be attracted to that green grass, that vegetarian type thing, because it's really more for a herbivore, you know. But what happened is that we have a lot of herbivorous features still, so we can accommodate it. But if you're talking about what is closer to our makeup and our physiology, then definitely fruit. We naturally eat that. Just like our herbivore, which is a cow, naturally eats grass, and a carnivore naturally eat meats. The only thing man really naturally eat as is and could live on it all day is fruits. Yeah, man. So that's really it. We're really fruit eating beings. There is no food on the planet which is really higher in its consciousness than fruits. Well, we could go far and far into features, but that's like something that we could go further and further into it. But just to say that there's enough that shows that our anatomy and our physiology doesn't suggest anything else except that we are herbivorous, and more specifically for the primates, we are more frugivorous.